Good morning. It's June 20th, Saturday, 2020, during the scourge. I'm a writer. I work very hard and carry the injuries of a writer. I decided to make a talk, video, broadcast, whatever you want to call it, to address a question that came up during my pain management seminar yesterday regarding leadership concerning my opinions. John Lennon, in a stroke of genius, used me to make individuals in his flock maniacal with hatred towards the idea of me, as a gift of revenge sociology to his purported widow. By setting me up with something as incomprehensible to me as a child in the remotes of Pittsburgh, poor in a violent public school, of being to blame for his Hollywood disappearance, serving the ends of the Warren Commissioners in their Green Axis storyline, which is what happened. He succeeded in making a protege of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, whose father was acquainted with Eisenhower, and who grew up loving the Kennedys and Martin Luther King. Irresolvably estranged from the idea of leadership, meaning no one would ever do anything that I say. I even recall receiving a phone call from one of my tormentors, a man named Letterer, who said, "I called to ask your opinion about whether I should follow my heart and take a year off, or follow my father's will and go straight into law school." And when I told him to follow his heart, he said, "Thanks, Jimmy. I knew I'd feel better about following my dad if I got your opinion." You see, I was chosen, that was their word, to represent something that people would become fanatically anti about, no matter what I said. So that's the situation. Now, if somebody were to actually value my opinion, they could count on me, of course, to back up what I say by repeating myself and correcting myself when I'm shown wrong about something, and grant equal time to persons who disagree, disapprove, and want their own views to be heard alongside of mine. That's fair play, normal conduct in a democratic Congress. So, when you read over letters I've written or listen to tapes I've made, you may wonder, why isn't this individual studying law so that he can become a congressman, studying manipulation of the press so he can become an arbitrary personality cult president like we now have? I think you should bear in mind that I consider myself a distinguished citizen, a library clerk. I believe in responsible people doing their level best at whatever they do. Library clerks can't give information. We're not librarians on the job. But as long as we stick to friendship and a normal environment, there's no reason why we can't venture our opinions. Now, one of the first obstacles to my real calling, which is poetry, is open mic bullies, rivals. I've had rivals who don't have my scruples about sticking to what I'm good at, who go into politics. And they see politics in every poem. And no matter what you say, I just want to read you a poem. Oh, did you support the Vietnam War? Well, it has nothing to do with the Vietnam War, or maybe the poem might, but what does it, my wanting to read you a poem have to do with this? And so, if you would actually say, I have a political statement to make, their gyrations would get all the more Svengali. Now in depth, so that means a lot of people who are catty women or macho guys, could get ahead of me. It was easy. I'm disabled. In fact, for me, it was just be my guest. And I was so gracious about it that they started doing tinkering. One of them started tampering with a paralyzing agent I'd been given as a child by people who drafted me into involuntary pornography as a child from Warhol, these Ono people. And there was another dude who set me up with the girl he wanted to marry so he could humiliate me, and went on to hobnob about punishing me with governors and, rivals, weird ones, who hail from Seattle, and he's from Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh doesn't even want him, that sort of thing. When you have to face those kinds of cruelties, Antonio Artaud theater of cruelty, you end up in a situation where your voice is very personal. You don't necessarily want to share it. And these people want to push me up onto a podium so that they can laugh. And so there's a lot of reasons why I don't see myself as a leader. I do think people need some guidance in the situation we're in. I've offered to study at community colleges what they think we should be doing and make poignant arguments for social change, psychological adaptation to things that are crucial to our survival as a large international network of people we call the human race. But politics are fundamentally local. They're the people who you know, the people you inspire, and the people who inspire you. The principle of leadership has become one way, a chauvinist command and control tower, a weirdo in a bunker at the White House, 30 dirt in his hole. People complain when you don't listen. I'm deaf. I do my level best to be communicated to without the specters of fright, terror, and meanness that everybody seems to want to visit on somebody who simply has their head up. Thanks for listening.